Action.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to be here.
Yes, it is.
I can't wait to get started. This is our inaugural podcast. We don't even have a name yet.
No, if you'd like to help with the name, leave a comment below to help us.
Matter of fact, leave a
Walter.
bunch of comments below, preferably those that we can read out loud.
Yeah, we'll maybe we'll pick a comment that we can read out, or that maybe we can't read out loud, and we'll fill it up with words.
We'll
that
let
we
them.
can't say.
We'll read it and we'll let them interpret it through our facial expressions. That'll be a good thing to do.
Yeah, I don't think we have the technology to beep anything out, so
Oh, that's that. Well, we could beep ourselves.
yeah.
That ought to be interesting. I thought this would be an interesting way of getting maybe our feelings out as to what's happening in the world and the States, and maybe it works and maybe it doesn't. We'll see how it develops. One of the latest things that we're talking about is the reality of the Ruth Bader Ginsburg passing away this weekend, and President Trump nominating another individual for the Supreme Court. I'm looking forward to that.
Possibly. There's a lot of talk on whether or not they should.
Yeah,
Or not.
I'm not a judicial scholar, but
You play one on Facebook.
I play one on Facebook, and and if I have questions, I'll make it up and come up with answers. But the reality is, the Supreme Court has 9 justices.
Yeah.
Back in 1867 or 69, the Congress actually reduced the number from 9 to 7 because they didn't want Andrew Johnson to be able to fill some spots in the Supreme Court because he was impeached.
Did not.
And then shortly after he was out of office, they voted to put it back to 9. And so there was a short period of time where this Congress said no more judges from this guy.
Ah.
And in regards to all this talk that they're having now about, well, you're not supposed to do it during an election year. And I've been thinking about that. That's not really.
I think on both sides, it's because I hear a lot of the people that are saying it now because the Republicans are in a position where they can press forward. They shouldn't because of the way they reacted in 2016.
2016.
So now, because of video, there's a lot of video that shows them saying that exact thing, and it makes them look like opportunistic politicians.
It does.
Which is,
But if you go back in history, President Taft, President Wilson, President Roosevelt, President Reagan, all nominated Supreme Court justices in the election year.
I read that Reagan did. I didn't know. My history is.
Well,
My history. I know. Last week.
That's why you semi-have me.
Right.
because I
You don't remember what happened last week.
I don't remember yesterday, but I do remember what happened 100 years ago.
So together.
So together, you and I are really just perfect
We can-
for really expressing an intelligent view of what's happening out in the world today, and that's why I think people are going to like this.
I love it that you have to have 2 people to make one.
Or maybe 3/4. It depends on
It's true.
how you're looking at
It's
it.
true.
And because there may be some attorneys out there that will counter all of our knowledge in regards to,
Yeah.
because I don't have, mine is a historical perspective. I'm not an attorney.
Yeah.
I've never played one.
So, and I'm not an historian or an attorney, but one thing that I know from knowing, I don't know that I know any history teachers, historians. I know people that will remember quite a few things, but from what I see on the attorney side, it depends on which side of the argument that you're on, as far as how good your argument is, because I really enjoy watching debates. One topic, two different points of view, and how each of them have a point of view. And sometimes it's really hard to concede through a debate, just because unless you just can't see the other side of it. And I tend to like
to have conversation.
yeah.
And because someone disagrees with what I might say or think, it doesn't turn me off to their way of thinking. There seems to be such a divide with Americans today in regards to either you're thinking this way or you're thinking that way. And if you think this way, I'm not going to talk to you. I'm not even going to be a friend of yours. And it wasn't always that way. There was
Yeah.
always a lot of disagreements, but at least people would talk to each other. You get someone like Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer. Chuck has never met a camera he didn't like, and if one was on, he went running to it. And Nancy Pelosi, I don't know, she's been serving for 300 years, and she needs to go.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, because I don't know, I don't live in her district. Is that right?
Yeah, we don't. That's true.
So yeah, full disclosure, we don't live in California.
No.
But the things that people do in California somehow affect people in a different area, or and that's the thing. It's like what I do in my backyard sometimes affects what you do or what you have going on in your backyard. So it's kind of like neighbors, and say like good fences make good neighbors, and that could be just because it's hard to have people bring it down to where you're not so aggressively attacking the other one just because you have a different view or a different idea of something that happened. Now, there's things that happen that are true, and then there's things that you can have an opinion or the way that things unfolded. Maybe they affected some people in different ways.
That's true.
That's my
You just made me think of something.
talking around
And it goes back to the Supreme Court. We have a ruling. Back in 1935 or 1937, Congress established a rule, law. I don't know how you would.
Well, they write the laws, right?
They write the laws. They create the laws.
They create the laws.
The
Executive
president
enforces the law.
and the judicial
Upholds
the law. Well, in 1935 or 37, the president was Roosevelt, and Congress was democratically held, and they established a rule, if I remember correctly, and I'm sure an attorney out there could tell me if I'm whatever the real thought is that a president could nominate more than 9 justices in a year, or total, if there were Supreme Court justices that were over 70 and a half years old. And I think you can do that up to 6 justices. And they call it Roosevelt packing the Supreme Court. So you can get as many justices as you want on there,
Yeah.
up to an additional 6. Now, I don't know how that would work, but it was an effort, I know back then, to give Roosevelt an opportunity to kind of create a court that would be
sympathetic
to his
to
thoughts
his-
and feelings. And so I'd like to know how that would work nowadays.
Well, I can only imagine, because whenever, and I think, and I could be wrong, and I'm probably wrong, but the system that we have is set up because if somebody is in power for too long, they are obviously going to try to invent or create an environment that is sympathetic to their thoughts and feelings. And since we have so many different people and there's so many different ways of thought, and so that's why our system is meant to, you know, to stay steady, but the people that get in power are meant to move and change, because you can't have straight right, you can't have straight left. Like, you need the balance.
You need the balance.
You need the balance of both of them, and so I think you're right. The longer we've been, you know, in these days, and I think this has always been. It's probably the way that people talked about things in ancient Rome. You know, whenever they were philosophizing in the, is that a word?
It's a good word.
I don't think
when
it is a word.
When you verbulate a word, it tends to work out really well.
Well, yeah, because they get together in the Colosseum, or well, they weren't.
Well,
They would get together in an amphitheater. That's where that comes from, right?
the Romans had the Senate, and
So they would get together, and I'm sure they would disagree. And back then they were doing some really horrible things. So civilization has come along.
that's true. If you
And
disagree, they'll put you in the Coliseum, and
that's where the bad stuff.
there
is.
your conversation would be a little limited, but the results would probably be pretty final.
Yeah.
And, you have to be. You don't want to go to the Coliseum.
Right.
And
So the emotion has always been there, but you know the way we.
another thing
I
in
don't know.
regards to political, right now, for the Congress, the federal House and the Senate, from the congressional standpoint, the districts that each congressperson has today is so gerrymandered. They work out these districts so that represents either a majority of African American or a majority white, and I think because we have so many gerrymandered districts all over the country, that's why the Congress has become so divided. Whereas it used to be, districts were blocks of a particular state, and you have a.
So when you redraw the district, you change the voting.
You change the voting
Maybe.
aspect of because it becomes more.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing in my how that Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, how in the world she became a congressperson in New York is beyond me.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I've seen her, but I don't know.
She's a socialist,
Yeah.
and then when you go to socialist, you look at Bernie Sanders from where's he from? Vermont, and he claims to be an independent, but he always votes Democratic. So I've always wondered, why does he get to have a two-way street, and a one-way street, and if he's independent, then he shouldn't be able to tie himself vote-wise.
I know. That's a hard one, because I claim myself as an independent, but I don't.
Oh, well, then you're a socialist, I guess.
Right. But I don't know that I agree with everything socialist. I don't know. And there's some things, but
you don't agree with anything socialist.
well, when you listen to like the plight of a victim, then like you can see where they would come to that realization. Now, whether or not, I've never done anything, I guess, to jump on board with the socialist agenda, but I just don't. Maybe I have and didn't know it, but I don't know.
I hope not. I'd have to take you out back and we're going to beat you up.
All right. This is.
I got it on tape,
This is
too.
not go. He's not condoning violence to socialists at all.
No, just to you.
Just to me. Well, all right.
That's.
I know.
And when you think of socialism, and for me, I always tie communism into socialism. I wonder what it is about those countries that have tried it and you see the results that makes people here say, you know, we ought to invest
Yeah.
in that.
I think for what I've heard the argument that it hasn't been done correctly.
I've heard that argument,
You know.
but my goodness, you look at the Soviet Union.
Oh no. Yeah. I mean, you can't really pick one out that has been done kind of correctly,
No.
or maybe
Cuba,
Maybe somebody
Venezuela,
that
Nicaragua,
that believes that could, but
China.
it's not a.
Who'd want to live in that environment?
There's millions of people that live there, so I don't know.
Well, that's because it's so, you got your thumb on you.
Yeah.
See what's happened in Hong Kong recently. The Chinese government is just comes in and makes it their way.
Yeah.
And I would hate to imagine living like that.
I know, and I don't think that any of us know. I don't know.
Well, I can remember during the Soviet Union period, those people there couldn't even get bread.
The bread lines. I've heard the bread lines.
You had no opportunity to do what you really wanted to do.
Yeah.
You had to fall within the confines of the state, and that was just,
So
I
that's
can't
what,
imagine.
that's like a state-run economy, right?
Yeah,
I mean, so switching gears to economy, because we're both
Well, we have our PhD in
in
economics, which our PhD stands for Pool Happiness Director, though.
I've never heard that. That's
Oh yeah,
good.
I proudly have my
Pool
PhD.
happiness director.
You put me next to a pool, and I'm
can direct some
there.
happiness.
I'm there. I'm happy. They'll be happy.
What I don't even know where I was going with that.
Well, that's the best part.
All the money that we're printing,
Yeah.
just paper, and I know enough to know that I don't know anything about how we've got off of the gold standard, which because I think when you have this many people, like, you got to start being creative in the ways that you figure out value and services and goods, and now it's just it makes my brain hurt to try to figure out the dollar right now. What was gas? Gas around here was just under $2 a gallon.
Yesterday I purchased some $1.61 a gallon.
Okay.
So cool.
But that's low.
That's
I mean,
low.
It's been, because I know that it's been upwards, and in some places, depending on where you live, it's just, you could get up to $5. a gallon,
California, I
probably.
bet it's pretty expensive.
Yeah, and so, perfect example of, the gas prices, and then like maybe your living wage will be different, or like your not living wage, what you make an hour, not minimum wage. I know the minimum wage is across the board, because that's something that keeps us from going towards China, like the child labor. Well, there's child laws too for that. Thank goodness.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, but there's it just seeing the different value. There's a person that I know that worked in California for a little while, and whenever they would have a service, they were able to charge 10 times, not 10 times, twice as much for their service as I would charge for a service. And so, but
The cost of living there is so much more.
your apartment that you're renting for your 10 by 10 studio apartment was $1,000, or whatever, a month, and so mainly you're just paying for environment, but you're putting yourself in a system where values are a lot higher, and I just don't know how that is sustainable with all the money we're printing.
The perfect example of that, and it has always amazed me, are the shows on cable television programs of home remodeling and home purchasing and remodeling and then what the value becomes. And you have these young couples going out and buying homes that are $750,000. And of course here,
And flipping it.
and flipping it.
Yeah.
And then,
So I think-
how do they afford a $750,000 home and they're,
Every once in a while, it'll slip on there that there's an investor. There's usually
Oh,
a guy behind the scenes.
so you read the fine print of the program after.
So, because when I saw it, I was like, oh, well, I want to make $100,000 in 3 months. Who doesn't? And that makes everybody want to go out and try to buy a house. But then, like, whatever you do, you have to figure out, like, wait, I need 20% down, and then I've got to borrow the rest of it if you're going to go through a bank. But if you've got Mr. Moneybags sitting there who's like, I'm going to take this and I want to get 10% return on, in 3 months. Like, it's not that bad. I mean, I think that's better than what you can get.
I did not
today.
know it worked that way.
And then if you can get the charismatic couple on TV and they walk in and there's TV, and this is really raw.
We're pretty raw.
We have the rawest
We are very raw.
first podcast ever.
This-
And if also comment if you are a aspiring media person in college,
and want to help raw people.
let us know and help us look like we know what we're doing.
We will raw everything.
Because we don't. But they go in and they put on the show, and the cameras help the emotions of, if a house is pretty nasty, they can make it look even worse.
Well, that's,
Because you shouldn't believe everything you watch.
except for raw.
except
Yeah.
except for Monday morning raw.
Monday morning raw. Maybe that's what we call the program.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know
how that goes.
All I know is my wife, as I walked out the door, she said, "Don't do anything that will make you get arrested."
You know?
How-
And I don't. As of today, you can't say anything that will get you arrested. I think. Maybe you can. Well,
I
you can't.
don't know.
You can't scream fire in a crowded building, right?
can't do that.
So as long as we're not in a crowded building.
Although
but-
I would do that if I was getting raped.
Okay. As you should. I don't know.
It's better to call fire than to say help. People will ignore help. But if they
Yeah.
scream fire, people run to fire.
Bah, maybe.
So if you're being attacked,
Some.
scream fire.
Yeah. If you I can see that. Maybe it doesn't have to be that. Yeah,
Well,
but
you
attacked
never
is
know.
attacked is a better. That's a better example.
Well, you-
I think you're on to something.
it's on to something or I'm on to
Let's
something.
let's see. So if you're ready
I'm not
to
on anything.
if you're ready to invest, I found a place that we can flip and we can videotape it. And
Well,
so,
I've always in the flipping. I've always been one. I want to be the straw boss. I'm not really good at doing the flipping part.
yeah, that's the hard part. I think that because I don't know that those people buying those houses, some of them are I think they're contractors. Some of them are real estate agents. I think it's all soft TV stuff. Most of it.
I think what you got me,
But,
you're onto something. I think it's George Soros.
Oh no.
He's behind the scenes.
He's the one?
destroying everyone's
Whoa.
dreams because
No.
what 20-year-old is out there thinking I need to buy a $750,000 home?
Well, if their parents did really well, then
Well, I don't think that's the way it
they
works.
might. I know.
I,
I'm just saying.
I'm not buying any of them. I'm not buying my child a $750,000 home. But
But you could make it. You could sell it for 900.
well, that's true. But you see, George Soros is doing. It's all George Soros' plot. He's trying to get the younger people in the country to realize they can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's his program.
He seems like like the Emperor on Star Wars.
He seems.
'Cause I know-
Oh, that's a good one. He
Well-
looks like the Emperor on Star Wars.
Huh. Okay.
Except he doesn't have the. We have to get him the
Well, no,
costume.
just because I don't know. I know that he's I don't know. I'm just it's like you hear not anything that happens bad, but it's like when countries collapse or money gets played with, like his name pops up a lot. His name pops up a lot on a lot of things that aren't good.
That's true.
So that's what I meant by that. But I mean, I don't know that, you know,
Yeah,
I don't know.
you have your new house.
Yeah.
Do you have flood insurance on your house?
I'm in the process, but I can't get it right now because of, well, I mean, I guess I could, but yeah, I'm in the process of it. I just hadn't pulled the trigger on it. But I feel like I need to.
Do you have to have flood insurance?
I'm not in a zone where it's required to have flood insurance, but I should have it just because it doesn't matter. Because they usually, again, I don't know, but I think they base these things on 100 years. Maybe there's a 100-year flood.
They have a 100-year flood, 500-year flood.
Yeah, so they base those zones on, and that's how they come in. But whenever there's a lot of new construction, those zones could be 5 years outdated.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or 100 years outdated.
Because you pick up, you put land, and so you're just, the earth changes, but it doesn't change that much.
Well,
so it's-
Sandra and I, we have had flood insurance, even though our house was not in the flood zone,
right.
never flooded. And in 2016, we didn't flood.
Mm.
But the following year, we were reconfigured, and they decided that we needed to have flood insurance. We just had to have, and we own our house outright. We don't even.
Yeah.
So we have to have flood insurance, and we went from like $300 a year for 30 years. We had it was $300 a year, and then last year it went up to $2,200, $2,400 just for flood insurance.
Because of the flood zone.
And we didn't even flood in 2016.
Yeah. But it got rezoned in there, and that's one of those things that sometimes the government, or I guess that's a federal
Well, it's FEMA
thing,
I
right?
guess.
Yeah. So they can just come in and say, pay this, and you can either pay it or you cannot, and then have your house taken from you. And so.
Well, for me,
Yeah.
I do it because
Remember that phone you were talking about?
I got, it's Hong Kong is on top of us now.
And it's not quite, but the slippery slope, maybe, I don't know.
It's we have it, even though
Yeah.
we own the house outright. I guess we could not have it if we wanted to go that route, but I wouldn't want to be responsible for
Yeah, you self-insure. I've heard that. I mean, I've heard that people
I've thought about
Could-
self-insuring.
could do that, and if you can do it, I don't know what to say. Again,
It'd be
I
interesting
think-
to see what people out there are doing with theirs.
well, we're working on a short list of guests, of experts to come in to try to help us, because we're navigating this world with no one at the wheel.
We're wheelless.
Until we get together, and then we try to we find a wheel, but then we fight over it.
There's a rudder somewhere.
So yeah, we're gonna maybe we could have a
It's-
economist.
We've had
Economist.
yeah, economist.
We can make up words.
I like the way you make words up.
There's somebody I know that has a word she made up, and it's in the Urban Dictionary.
Really.
Yeah, Urban Dictionary. It's fun. It's a fun place, but it's definitely a dangerous place.
My favorite one, and I've already told you about, was providential, which is private and confidential. It's very, very important.
Yeah, I like that one.
Providential.
I don't know if that's in there.
I don't know. I've
We need
never
to put
looked
it
up
in there
Urban
before
Dictionary.
we post this, because somebody will get the credit. I think you should get the credit.
Providential. It works.
Yeah, that's true. That's not. I mean, I know it's not.
It's not a real word.
It's not a real word.
Unless I was,
Webster's, get on that.
unless I read something a long time ago and it's deep in my mind. And you got to remember, I've had 2 brain surgeries, so there's no
yeah.
telling what is deep in my
There's-
mind.
Well, you may have opened up Windows.
I've opened up a lot of things.
Windows 98. It's pop.
And we're talking about that. You're sitting there on your computer and you work all day on it and you do your thing at home, and then it's time to turn your computer off. And whenever you hit the power switch, and then it says update and close, or do you just want to update and restart? And of course you say update, close, then you go to bed.
Yeah.
You
See,
wake up the next day and your computer is completely different than what it was the night before.
Oh yeah.
Those updates can be dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they. Well, I don't know. Maybe. Is it the updates that you're supposed to read, or that's the terms of agreement? that
Well,
I
they
never
got the terms
read?
of agreement, but who reads that?
Nobody.
It would
You
take
just-
you a week to
just
read
like,
it.
we're going to get your last born child. You just agree, and as long as I can still pull up my fish game that I play.
Yeah. See, now for me, I don't have a lot of apps on my phone, but I do
Yeah.
like Pandora and I like
Oh yeah.
Waze when you're on the road.
Waze is
That-
good.
that
Waze
was-
saved us on our last little road trip. We were coming down, and I had maps. This is an advertisement for Waze if they want to drop us a couple of dollar signs in there. So I was using maps because that's the one I use because I can always it's connected to everything. I can talk it into the phone, and then so it pulls me up, and I see that the road was closed. It was the interstate, and so my wife is over there, and she's a Waze person, so always doing Waze. So she's like, you got to exit right here, and I was like, no, this is telling me I got 4 more miles till I can exit again, and I'll get closer to it. And she's like, I'm telling you, you need to. And so I see nobody's exiting off of this, and everybody's just going, and I'm like, I should
I'm gonna get
listen
off.
to her, yeah. And like as always, when I listen to her, she steers me right. So I take the exit. and I go, yeah. And so anyway, I pass up and I can see through tree lines. I can see cars starting to back up on the interstate.
Really?
I'm just like, oh, okay.
That's pretty cool.
It was pretty cool. So Waze, I think because they have so many users, maybe they're able to be a little, I don't know, or maybe I'm not sure how it worked. It's magic, and it worked.
It works. I've had that experience where it saved us some time getting around. But I like it because of the police. Oh, there's police ahead of you.
So you take the lead out of the pedal a little bit.
A little bit.
Okay.
And you say, well,
Yeah.
but you got to make sure that the alert comes out over your speakers. If you just
Oh,
keep it
yeah.
on your phone, you're not going
Yeah.
to hear it. So you have to have it come out over the speakers of the car in order to catch it.
Yeah.
And
Well, is it usually like is it usually like police waiting for, just
yeah, they usually have
hiding in
their,
the thing,
Some-
or is it just like
someone
stalled car,
a
stalled vehicle?
ways. Well, now if you get a stalled vehicle, they just call that a hazard. There's
Oh,
a
okay.
hazard ahead,
Yeah.
usually.
Yeah.
And but
Okay.
a lot of
'cause-
ways people will just mark it where you can put a police emblem on the map, and you'll just be careful because you don't know if it is someone just pulled over the side or is it
Yeah.
the radar folks. Whenever I see that police head,
slow down.
I slow down. I make sure that I'm a legitimate citizen.
Only there?
Well, yeah.
That's
Once you
not
get past the policeman, then you can delegitimize yourself.
No, I wonder how the police feel about that. Comment below. His license
Make some
plate
comments
is.
below. Yeah, I drive a red Ferrari. And,
Wow.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
we could flip a house if you've got a Ferrari.
I can't tell you how many times
could-
I've been flipped off.
Yeah. I think we I like the Waze. I do. I'm starting to get. I have a lot of apps on my phone though, because we have kids, and so all of our stuff is all on one, and I don't even get me to try to explain that. But every time I go to my phone, it seems like there's 6 or 7 new apps on it. So you know how you can swipe the pages, like there's so many pages, I have no idea what's on there. So
Oh,
I scroll down to search, and I just type in what it might be or something like that. So I think that's where I found the fish game. And I never was a big fan of just playing games, but sometimes,
You catching fish?
no, I did that one for a little while. That doesn't feel like a real, it doesn't feel like you're really
It's like the
fishing.
golf games. They're not really. They don't feel
Well, I got
good.
hooked on a golf game one time. I can't remember the name of it. Those were pretty good because I played golf. So then they would make it pretty. I don't know, it's pretty legitimate because you could see the wind speed, and then you'd have the it was, they made it, but the fishing thing I couldn't get into because, you know, when you start to reel, you don't have anything fighting on
there's
your
nothing fighting you
on your phone.
except maybe the wife
Yeah,
popping you in the back of the
right.
head.
I asked you 3 times to take the. Yeah.
It's
so,
11 o'clock. Go
I
to
know.
sleep.
Yeah, I don't.
I think I have 2 pages of apps.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much appless.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's not really a lot. Cause so my kids will get an app, and usually they're free apps to download, and so they play on it for about 20, 30 minutes, or maybe a day at the most, and then they're on to the next one because it's just kind of they get so tired with things so quickly that it's really hard to keep their attention on anything. Anyway, but so I did it because I found myself getting caught up in the Facebook and the turmoil going on, and how I don't like to argue. I guess I like you said, you like to talk. You just want to talk about it. And then there's no putting down the other person because they believe a different way.
Right.
And so I think that is where I was like, I gotta check out. So I found this game, and it's like a puzzle game. It's silly.
And you call it a fish game?
Well, there's fish on it, and so it's funny because my 11-year-old comes up and he was like, "Are you playing Candy Crush?" And I was like, "It's not Candy Crush because I see ladies playing Candy Crush all the time." I don't know why. I wasn't offended.
So you have
like,
to play man
It
games.
was like, this is just colorful fish.
I'm a man and I'm not playing that.
Yeah, maybe I did. I don't know. It was a knee jerk. I was a knee jerk.
Got slapped on the side of the head.
And then, yeah. And it's funny because, like, you know, my wife will be watching episodes on, you know, whatever series is the hot topic, and I was like, I made like because I'll make a smart ass comment every once in a while. I just do, and so I was like, "Oh, you're on 3rd season already, man. I just feel like you got something totally going on over there." And she was like, "Yeah, it's kind of like your fish game." Yeah,
Well, you know,
touche.
when they accurately compare, that is not fair.
That doesn't feel right.
No,
It doesn't.
I wouldn't say anything mean.
Sometimes, maybe that's why. Yeah, I was like, "Well, I'll just go back to my fish game. I'm not gonna."
Maybe I do say things mean and I don't know it.
Yeah, I've found that sometimes, you know, and yeah, but it's never. I don't know. Maybe it is sometimes. Maybe it is intentful. Maybe subconsciously it's intentful. That's what we're gonna dive into, the subconscious next time.
Ooh.
Or maybe this time.
I may have to read up on my subconscious.
I know. I don't understand mine.
Well, you know, right before my second brain surgery, I told the doctor, the surgeon, right before they wheeled me into the operating room, he said, we're going to affect some parts of your brain. It might affect some memory. And I looked at him from the bed as we're rolling down the hallway. I said, well, would you tell me what areas you're about to impact so that I can begin to remember what I'm about to forget? And he looked at the anesthesiologist and said, put him out.
Were you already on your way out?
They hadn't given me anything yet. I was trying to remember what I was about to forget. And
That's funny that you remember that.
I do remember that part. And then
Yeah.
they put me right to sleep.
Yeah.
Now, the sad thing about affecting my memory is, and it's a good thing, I don't remember if they affected anything because it's gone. And so it's like I don't have a loss because I don't know if it's gone or not.
Because it wasn't a loss. Well, I mean, I guess it was a loss, but
It might be a loss, but it
Yeah.
might have been a gain. We
yeah.
don't know.
So the tree fell and it didn't make a sound.
That I'm aware
Maybe
of.
it.
That I'm aware of. Now, I do tell
Yeah.
folks all the time that following my second brain surgery, they did donate some of my brain matter to other people out that needed it, and they immediately became members of Mensa. You don't know what Mensa is?
I don't know. What
It's
Mensa is.
it's a real craniological group of people that have a
How do you donate brain matter?
I'm joking.
Okay.
I
You had me. Yeah. I was thinking. I'm thinking. You can donate stuff, but anyway.
well, I may be sorry
So-
we're doing this podcast
So
now.
maybe that's why I'm not heard of Mensa. I'm definitely not a member.
And all the letters need to be capitalized. Mensa.
Ah.
Yeah, that's
It's like the acronym for what? Yeah.
I've had people tell me, oh, for so many years that they've never seen anything like it. So
Anything like.
some of the things I do.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay. Because, you had me going there because you're talking about a brain surgery.
Oh.
And I'm thinking you're serious for a moment. But,
Well, I was serious about I did tell the surgeon, tell me what I'm about to forget so I can
Yeah.
start to remember. And
Yeah.
I did tell him that part, and
So-
they did put me out.
so that was the second one.
That was the second one. Yeah.
So, was there a big difference between the first and the second one?
Yes,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Oh, that's okay.
It's an amazing thing. The brain, when it's exposed to air, there's all sorts of things that can happen. And during that particular procedure, I had it's an infinitesimal amount of probability, but I won it.
Mm-hmm.
You can contract meningitis. And so I contracted viral meningitis, and it was a year and a half of just absolute hell.
Oh,
It was bad.
yeah.
It was bad.
That was in the second one.
That was the second one.
Mm.
First one was easy compared to
It's a walk
the
in the
second
park
one.
compared to that.
It really was.
Wow.
And so it's.
Well,
But look at this now.
I know.
People say they've never seen anything like it. That's a midget. So they never seen anything like me.
Yeah.
And I say, I thank you.
Yeah. That's good. It's a blessing.
I can't wait to see what other words I teach you.
I know. Well, you said a couple. I mean, so we've known each other for a while, but we've he's said some words before that I would sit there and I there was a long time growing up where whenever I didn't hear anything or whenever I heard something that I didn't understand, you don't want to look stupid, or or you don't want to. You never want to feel stupid, but you definitely don't want to. You're trying to, have a adult conversation with an adult, and so he would say something, and I would, and I know that he could see my eyes and my wheels turning. It was like he has no idea what that word means, and so I finally got to the point where I was like, I don't lie anymore to try to make myself look better because that doesn't make you look any better. You should just.
Just tell it like it is.
Yeah, you should just be, I just would say, I've never heard that word. What is that word? And so like with the was it Mensa?
Mensa.
Yeah, I'd never heard that before. And that
Wow.
might be a real thing.
Oh, well, it is.
Okay.
You look it up on your.
Well,
As a matter of fact,
Well-
if you pull it up on Google, it'll probably have a photograph of me along with the Mensa as a definition of Mensa. Not that
Okay.
I don't want to insult the Mensa people.
I still don't know if there's really Mensa people out there. I'm not.
It really is.
I'll look at. Okay.
They're very smart people.
Yeah.
And
My
I can only wish I could be there.
Yeah, my sister was really smart. Well, I shouldn't say was. She's still really smart. She majored in math,
Ooh,
I believe.
yeah,
So
I like
she's
that.
she's got this ability to. I don't know. I've heard stories. She was older than I was, and so like I hear stories about the way she was studying and through high school. She was in high school. I was not paying attention to anything around there, but she would. I think she explained it to my mom that she would look at a problem, like a math problem, and it would pop in her head, and she would see it in kind of like a three-dimensional world, and she could look around it, and the answer would just show itself.
Oh, that's
It would reveal
impressive.
itself. Yeah, I don't know if that's true. She could have been.
Oh, she sounds like Mensa.
Mom
material.
could have been. But yeah, so she was in when she went to college. She was in it was a sorority,
Yeah.
but it wasn't. It was a sorority. I don't know if it was a sorority.
Oh, it was.
Might have been
it was like a professional.
Yeah.
fraternal group.
Yeah.
The math, the business people have one, and
That's what it was. And I just remember that happening, and I was, again, young and not paying attention, but I remember that happening, and it was a really big deal. And then when I was asking, like, what's the big deal about it? She's like, well, that's where only smart people can be in that. It's like, oh, well, I guess I'm going to, go back to playing football. Because it's like,
people need to play football.
yeah, yeah.
See, now I love the sports. I love sports. I love football. I love baseball.
Yeah.
I wasn't any good at baseball. And I love track.
Mm.
I was not any good at basketball.
Yeah.
I never was. And of course nowadays, with the COVID-19, there's everything is torn asunder because of the COVID-19. And I refuse to watch any of the pro sports now. I haven't watched pro sports in years and years now because of what's the word I'm looking for? The protest, I guess, of the players and
The
politicizing the sport.
Yeah.
And these are men who are earning millions of dollars, and it when you think about it, like LSU, I love LSU.
Mm-hmm.
I love LSU football, but when you really get to the brass tacks, you got this magnificent stadium that holds 100,000 plus people, and it's used for 7 nights a year. So it's a pretty big expense for 7 nights a year. And this year it's only going to be used for 5 nights. And,
Yeah.
and of course, they may have some day games, but I've always wondered about our priority if we have such a financial commitment into such a big piece of concrete, and it's only used for 7 nights a year. What does that say about our priorities?
That's a really good. I mean, I've just never thought about something in that manner where it's used so seldom.
So seldom,
but it's such
when it's
a
used,
big
it's big.
investment. Yeah.
But boy, it's
Yeah. Well, and I mean, like, you could talk to somebody that's on the math club, and they would probably completely not be interested in. Like, there's a lot of people that don't like football and don't like the sports and see that. And I think that if anything, you just saying that really kind of made my brain start thinking. But somebody on the other side that's like that just is an academic who sees money pouring in dump trucks, because that stadium, I don't know. I know they renovated it a couple of years, and it's like it's something. The structures are beautiful.
Oh, it's magnificent.
But they are probably working in a math hall that has asbestos tile on it, or I don't, maybe not, probably not. I didn't go to LSU, so I don't know.
I can tell you, if you go to the games at LSU, the best way to go is to sit in one of the loge boxes around the perimeter of the stadium, because that's a nice way to watch it.
Yeah.
Air conditioned,
Oh yeah.
or heated, depending on time of year.
See, that's
Food,
yeah.
and no, you can sit and you're not squeezed in.
So my
I don't
buddy,
do that.
He will not go up there. He wants to be down there
Oh, he wants to be squeezed
eating a
in?
tiger dog, peanuts, and
He's a tough dude.
he's just he wants to be in it. Like, you don't, because when you're in there, it's like you're watching it from a really nice room in my house, because
Yeah.
my house is not that nice.
And they have TVs in there too.
Yeah.
So you go to Lowe's box and watch it on TV.
Yeah, no, yeah, but he's like, so and I've been to games with him too, and it's funny because like it'll be a runaway game, one side or the other, and it's beginning of midway through the third quarter, it's just like, hey man, you ready to beat some traffic? Like, game's not over. It's like, okay, it kind of is, but yeah, so you'll just the whole game. And it's funny, I went to a baseball game, so and like the same thing at Alex Box.
The old Alex
The
Box?
old Alex Box was there, yeah. And then we had got a chance to go to the new one, and I brought with some people invited us, and we went with the kids. And so my oldest will sit there for 9 innings and just wants to watch the game. It's just like is engaged in it, and then my and it's funny because like you know the second son, he's just like once the M&Ms run out, it's like let's are we staying here? I'm like, yeah, just a little bit longer. And I just you know it's fun, but we were leaving. I think we were gonna leave. We made it to the 7th inning stretch, and then it was just like all right, you know, let's go. It's time. We gotta go. It's late. It's just, you know, I don't know if it's school night, but it was whatever. Everybody was ready to go, except
my father, it would if he'd go at the end of the first quarter if it was and I could about 20 something years ago. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Mom and Dad passed away and gone on to glory 15 years ago, so it's been a long time.
Yeah.
I got them some tickets to a baseball game. It was so long ago. Skip Berkman was the coach. I remember that. And so Dad and Mom were pretty excited because I had never been to an LSU baseball game.
Yeah.
So I got them the tickets, and they were good tickets.
Mm-hmm.
And they go into the stadium and they go to watch the game. Now Dad had been in his 80s. And Mom would have probably been high 70s, low 80s. And they go to watch the game, and I'm excited. I got my parents tickets to that LSU championship baseball game.
Yeah.
And they get there early. I told them got a parking pass so they could be right by the stadium. And,
Yeah.
they got in, and they went and they attended for a couple of innings, and they decided they'd had enough. They'd seen enough baseball, and they left. And they went to their car, and so there was a representative, a state representative, parked his car behind a number of cars. He double parked, I guess, so people
Yeah.
couldn't back out. And the only reason I know it was a representative is because Dad was calling me and telling me that there's this car with this representative's plate was on the front of his vehicle, and
Yeah.
and Dad was fussing on the phone. I could hear it. He's
Yeah.
fussing with the policeman. He's calling a tow truck.
Oh,
And I'm thinking,
wow.
oh,
Nice.
Dad,
Hey.
yeah, Dad, hold on.
The representative didn't think somebody was leaving after the second inning.
Not after the second inning. And so
But
he
still.
thought he had at least half
Still.
of the game.
It's still not okay. You can't double park behind somebody.
I have no idea who it was, but I do know that the cops, or campus security, did get in touch with whoever that rep was, and he came running out and
Before
moved
they
the
towed
car.
his truck.
Oh, Dad was going to have the rep's car towed, and I said, "Well, Dad, you didn't tell him your name, did you?" He goes, "No, I didn't need to do that. It was
That's funny.
that was my dad was not going to put up with anybody."
Yeah.
And
No.
and you know, really, that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
You shouldn't put up with.
Yeah.
No one is
Yeah.
holier than thou or more important than thou. And
No, that's what you know. That's what they say. There's a couple of different ways to say it. One leg at a time. Put your pants on one
yeah,
leg
we're
at a
all
time.
we're all the same.
Everybody's got to sit down to go. Sometimes.
That's what makes me mad about our Congress is that I've never been a big, up until the last few years, I've never been a big believer in term limits. But now with the way Congress does not function, because the way it operates now, I'm kind of a supporter of term limits in Congress now.
Yeah. Well, and so even when you were talking earlier about how they, you draw lines out to get your Congress people in there, it seems like the whole thing is becoming where the people that live here don't really trust the people that are in position of power, because if you're making laws, you're creating, I mean, that's a powerful position. But how do you how do you change that? I mean, you can't throw everything away, and you look at other systems that humans have come up with to try to figure out how to do things, and even I don't know. I know enough to know that I don't know. That's,
One of the things that's so interesting is when I read all these articles year after year after year about how little Congress is liked.
Yeah.
The percentage of people who hate Congress is pretty large.
and that's been going on for quite a
For
while.
decades,
Yeah.
for decades, and probably you can go back 200 years and it's been like that. But the thing that is so amazing is, all right, people dislike Congress and what it does and what it doesn't do,
Yeah.
but nothing ever changes because the people all around the country in every one of the districts say, "Well, I like my congressman, but I don't like everybody else's."
I don't like your congressman.
And that's a problem. That's a problem.
Well,
it's not going to change as long as people have that feeling.
No, and that's where we're so connected now with technology's got a big to do with it. So because we can hang out and talk and we can put this on, and then now somebody in New Zealand might see that and say, "Hey, I like that painting." It's like, "Well, I bought that painting." "Oh no, I didn't buy it. My wife."
But I did that one.
Yeah, and so we're gonna do a thing where we'll go into his art studio because he's a really talented.
I've had people tell
Painter.
me they've never seen anything like what I've done.
It's true. But that's not a bad
They
thing.
said I've never seen anything like that before, kid.
Yeah.
That's
That's a really good way to not give a compliment.
I'm used to it.
And be polite.
I've grown up my entire life that way. It's
Yeah.
been cool.
I was talking to so we had a kind of little funny thing with my father-in-law that happened to him, and I guess is it inflection? Is that the way? That's the way you say something.
Mhm,
I guess
mhm.
your inflection. So he needed help at a Home Depot, and the guy he was struggling. They were having a bad day, maybe they weren't real helpful, and so he says thanks a lot, but he doesn't say it in a way, and that was the funny part of it because he said thanks a lot. It was in a way I was just like, what? He said, what? I said thanks a lot. I was like, nah.
No, you didn't.
You did. But you said
you might have made the words come out that way.
And there's so many things that you can do. And we were playing around with words with my oldest because it's funny now because kids are amazing to me, and I don't feel like
And they're so smart now.
you don't know until you have like this little human who didn't know how to do anything except for eat and poop, and then now he's it's just in such a small amount of time. It's really cool to watch and see. But so we've always kind of laughed around. He's pretty quick with wit. So his younger brother's really quick with the wit too. Now the little sister, she's running everything.
She's the math genius there.
Oh, that's my sister. That's my.
Well, I know,
little
but I
sister.
figured it might have gone
Maybe it
down the
has.
line a little bit.
I don't know. They're all pretty quick at math. Like we try to figure out little math problems, but you can't use a calculator. Like you just have to go with it.
Ooh, make them do it the
And
hard
then-
way.
Yeah, and because the way they're learning in school now seems the hard way.
I know.
We were doing a multiplication thing, and there's a video on that I've seen online that just has, one guy. It's the same problem, and one person's doing it like you would with dropping your zeros, and then the other person's doing it this long, drawn out way. Well, this person does it, makes a bowl of oatmeal, sits down, and then I don't know. There's like a few minutes goes by just to see. But I don't know that. And I was thinking this the other day with watching them do the math. It's almost like and I wonder if this is what they thought about, because they're going through that long form, that they're reinforcing those little short, quick answers that we would do, but then like maybe you take it for granted. So like if you went to school and you learned your multiplication tables, and then you just memorized them, right? So 9 times 7 is
Oh, you're asking me?
63.
63?
Yeah. So if you remember that, but I remember being a kid and I would get 9 times 7. And I was like, and then I'd have to go to 5, and then I'd count it back up. And then this still haunts me to this day. If I ever go and I'm at, maybe happen to be at a casino and I've had a couple of drinks, I won't play blackjack because I'm like, I can't add that fast. If I get, and then you've got all the pressure, and usually there's a lady that's gonna holler at me, or somebody else that I'm gonna mess up their hand because I'm hitting on a 19, and they're just like, no, and I was like, oh, okay. Anyway, so I've had a couple of those times where I just don't go to the casino anymore.
We sound like you should go to Casino Anonymous.
No, because I'm not good at it. And if I know that I go, then I know that I'll lose whatever money that I'm going with, so I just don't go. And that way, because it's hard to make money, so I don't want to lose it. And if I know if I go to a place, I don't think that Lady Luck is just hanging out at the casino waiting for me.
No, I don't think so.
No.
Nor, if you're buying the lottery tickets and
No, yeah, I don't.
it's more
Yeah.
it's more of a regressive tax than it is anything. You're paying and
Never heard it put that way.
It's-
Yeah, but that's right.
it's and you have to recognize if you go, you need to, or if you buy, you need to recognize that the odds are not really in your favor. There are people that will win something,
Yeah,
and someone wins all the time. I guess when you think of the fact that like Powerball, ultimately someone is going to win,
mm-hmm.
but the odds are like 1 in 300 million.
So you're saying there's a chance.
There is exactly.
That was from was that Dumb and Dumber?
I think that's Dumb and
So
Dumber.
you're saying
there
there's
is a
chance.
chance.
Yeah.